Welcome, Indie Game Adventurers, to the newly rebranded Indie Game Guildhall, still the best indie game podcast on the planet.
Today we're being joined by Anya Combs to talk about building community.
The Indie Game Guildhall.
Wow, brand new jingle in our live magical podcast. We give listeners the chance to hear real game dev stories from real indie developers, as well as directly ask them questions in the second half of each episode.
This is a recording of a weekly event we host in the Indie Game Academy Discord on Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, so feel free to swing by for the next one.
We're your hosts, Willem Delventhal, headmaster here at IGA, and the Wizard of Games.
And I'm Tim Wood, founder of Rightfinder Headhunting and the Knight of Games Recruitment. And we're being joined by Anya to talk about building community.
Welcome, Anya. It is very exciting to have you on the show. Building community is a topical subject for many different reasons. Discoverability for indies, perhaps chief among them, at least the one that's on my mind. I'm very curious, Anya, what are you having for lunch today?
I am having a snack plate because we hosted a huge party. Well, we meant to host a huge party for the Super Bowl, really the Bonito Bowl, because who cares about the actual sport itself. And I, in true Anya fashion, bought way too much food because I like to make food based on the teams that are playing and the host city.
What was made then? I have to know the dishes.
Okay, so the plan was for New England, we were gonna do clam chowder, a vegan clam chowder, baked beans, and then I tried to find apple cider donuts, but they're not in season. For Seattle, we have a bunch of salmon, so I was gonna do a baked salmon. We did, instead of pho, we did pho summer rolls, so like just hand rolls.
Yeah.
And then we did Seattle hot dogs, vegan hot dogs. Which are just hot dogs with cream cheese and diced jalapenos. And then I'm actually from the Bay. I'm from the town right next to where the Super Bowl is being played. My dog has left the chat. She might come back.
Oh, sad.
I actually have two, so they might. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Dill Pickles and Nebula, great creatures. And then for Santa Clara, we did garlic fries because every ballpark in the Bay has garlic fries. Big part of what we eat out there. And then we did a vegetarian Cobb salad because, fun fact, apparently the Cobb salad was made in the Bay Area. I didn't know that.
Wow.
I'm
and
taking
then
notes.
we had a bunch of we had some California wine that we didn't even bring, which was really funny. A couple of friends were like, California wine. I was like, great. And then for Benito, we did plantains with a bunch of like pico de gallo and crema and black beans and
holy crap.
other fun stuff. Yeah.
That is such a spread.
Yeah. Oh, and then of course, like 4 different types of dips. I had chopped veggies and fruit and cheese and chips and bread and crackers and all of it. So
wow.
That's the best lunch we've ever had on this show.
It's easily true.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I take the Super Bowl food very seriously. Oh, and then of course we made a bunch of potato skins too.
Oh.
Yeah, I truly do not care about the Super Bowl at all. It is not interesting to me, but as also a professional musician, I love the performances. That's really all I care about.
Yeah.
Yes. I feel like I should care, like as a game designer, right? It's a game and it has survived for a long time and it has created a giant following, but I can't get into it. I don't know. Maybe it's the dork in me from high school who wants to feel special and different and not like sports. I don't know. It's I agree. The commercials are great. Halftime show was amazing. The food, I mean, we had leftover Parmesan sticks, so less good over here, but still enjoyable.
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone's ever in New York during the Super Bowl, everybody is welcome to partake in my way too extravagant situation.
I might come over next time for the sports ball game. That sounds great.
Yeah, that's your destination.
I'll follow sports, melee combat. That's about it.
Yeah.
Tim is a literal knight. He jousts. And everybody in chat is now invited to your house, is what I'm understanding from this.
Everybody's invited. I live in Brooklyn. My apartment is not big, so if you're willing to stand, then you're always welcome to hang out.
We're indie devs.
It's going to be a great time.
Yeah, we're indie devs. We're used to partying on a low budget. All
Fair.
right, let's get into the actual episode. That's a wonderful start to the episode. Absolutely, by far the best answer to the question about lunch. Usually, it's like, well, I'm sipping coffee, and then we start talking. The first question on this show, as my cat joins me now, is always the origin story. So, Anya, before we get into your area of expertise, I would love to hear where you are in games today and how you got there.
Yeah. So, I have a very weird career in games. Probably everybody says that. Like a career in games in itself is just like sort of an inherently weird thing.
Mhm.
I think as like I've been in the industry almost 20 years, so I've seen a lot. Uh, it's probably a little bit more common these days, just because like the accessibility of getting into the games industry is like in some ways much more accessible. In some ways, it hasn't changed at all.
Yeah.
But I got my start at in Flash gaming. I was the developer relations person at AddictingGames.com
Oh,
for a number of years.
my first game. The whole reason I'm in the game industry is because I accidentally sold a game to AddictingGames.com.
Oh, really? Which game
Yes,
was it?
Quick Draw Rangers.
Yeah, we've chatted. I think I licensed it. I think I licensed it. Yeah.
Oh my god. You literally made Willem.
Hold on, I'm gonna go check. I'm gonna go check my email history.
If it wasn't me, then I definitely licensed it off of if you put it on flashgaminglicense.com, then I definitely like purchased it from Flash Gaming License.
You literally licensed my game.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god! Holy crap! You are literally the reason I'm in this industry, Anya. If we
Yay.
start with that, thank you. Yeah, at that point,
Yeah.
at that point, it was just like, ooh, this is an interesting thing to do. And then because of that license, I was like, oh, like a thing that I can make money doing. Wow. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What a trip. Small world.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was
That's
the
blown
best
my
episode
mind.
ever.
You would be amazed at how many, like how often this story is, right? Because like I'm not like a high profile, I'm not like a personality, I'm not like a celebrity or whatever in games, right? But I've been around for so long that it's like I think people forget that those flash gaming websites, like they're humans that had to run everything, right? So there was like a whole operation that we had, and we were all talking to each other. Like I was good friends with the team at Not Doppler, the team at Armor Games. I know Tom from Newgrounds, the Congregate team. Like we all knew each other. We all had a relationship, and it was very like people would try to come into this space and like create these flash gaming websites to like compete with us, and we were like, actually we're sort of like a fraternity in a way where it's like we all really support each other, and we'll say like, hey, like I'm still good pals with John Cooney, who made This Is the Only Level and like the Elephant Game, like everybody kind of knows who he is. And we had cultivated a relationship where I was like, hey, we can't license this game, but it's great. So I want to send this over to you and make sure that this game needs to be made. So my introduction into games was very like, this is a community. This is truly a community of people that just like want things to happen, not just from the developer standpoint, but also from like the licensing and the business standpoint. So anyway, that was my introduction into the games industry as somebody
Wow.
who like literally like I wasn't allowed to play games as a kid, so it was like a very interesting sort of like foray into this crazy world of gaming. So then I worked for we were owned by Viacom, so we were under the Nickelodeon brand. So I worked for Nickelodeon for a couple of years, and just quite frankly realized the corporate thing was like not for me. I couldn't do it. It just was like mind-numbingly horrible. For some people it works. For me, it was just like, yeah, this isn't it. So I'm actually most known for my second job in games at Kickstarter as the director of games. So I was at Kickstarter for just over 6 years, and learned a lot about the tabletop space, learned a lot about a world that I just like didn't know much about other than like, yeah, of course, you play board games, you have family game nights, and then learned all about tabletop games and was like, that's crazy. I did not know this world was so big. Then I left that job and worked at a smaller crowdfunding company called BackerKit for just under 2 years, and kind of got presented the opportunity to go off on my own and as a freelancer, which is something I've always wanted to do, to work for myself. So since about November of 2023, so the last like 2.5-ish years, I've been freelancing, doing a lot of crowdfunding, like consulting and running people's campaigns. I was the community manager for a small tabletop company called Resonum. They make a really great game called Avant Card,
Hmm.
which was like a really I actually have it down here, but
Great name.
the box design is really cool because it's a duck builder. And so it all comes in this box with a magnet that, of course, now I can't. Oh, there we go. So it all comes in a box with a magnet to open it up.
Hmm.
And then all of your decks are built into little boxes so that you can just roll everything out and then you just roll everything back
Nice.
up in the box and everything goes back into the box. So it's really cool, like design that they created. It was a fun job. So doing community management for them was super fun.
Wow.
Um I've done a lot of weird, interesting things in games. And then when I'm not doing game stuff, I went to school for music. I studied at a very strict classical level, playing saxophone, and then have now found myself as a punk musician in New York.
Oh my
So
god. Then
normal.
we
I
neglected
love
to
it.
mention that Anya is a freelancer as well as saxophonist.
Yeah.
Yes, we did neglect to mention that, but
That's
I'm so
okay.
glad that you could share it with everyone
Thank you.
first.
Yes.
But look, your
Wow.
career history is just it's badass, and
It is.
I can say that
Thanks.
because I'm a recruiter. I look at a lot of career histories, but I remember those days of playing flash games. Like I used to play, what was it, Boxhead and Thing Thing. Those
Mhm.
were the games I was playing when I should have been, concentrating in school. And it's such a core memory for people of our generation. I think is
Mhm.
that early 2000s flash
Yeah.
games and like making your own games and stuff.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
It was such a discover like keystone time in the game industry itself, an
Mhm.
evolutionary time in the game industry itself. I can remember like it is such a trip. I did not know who you were to me, this fact that gave me my first game development experience before this episode, and so it's such a trip for me right now. Thank you
Of
for
course. Oh
giving
my
me that
gosh.
chance. Yeah, I can remember as Tim is suggesting, like there's times I studied business management and minored
Mhm.
in computer science and web dev when I went to school, and I can remember like sitting in accounting class building flash games to submit to you instead of um, instead of paying attention to accounting,
Yeah,
which
I
is
mean,
probably why I'm indie.
look, you just like shouldn't go to college, really, at the end of the day is
um,
the story that no, I'm totally kidding. Please go to college. Please get
these
an
days,
education.
I don't know if it's a good suggestion anymore. It's hard to say, at least in the
I
states.
I feel like going to a state school is actually pretty great. Like,
Yeah,
to be honest with you. That's a
yeah.
conversation for another day. Anyway.
We'll do another episode. Well, so I think one of the reasons, so we said the topic of today would be about community building.
Mhm.
And we've just started experimenting with a little baby publishing arm. And that's been
Okay.
wonderful. But the primary thing that we've done so far has been portfolio building, meaning the actual success of the game is not as important as it being an impressive piece of technical experience, right?
Mhm.
So the success of the game is tied so much in this day and age to discoverability, to capturing eyeballs. And while community building is not all about capturing eyeballs, it does feel like in the indie space that building, maintaining, and converting, I guess, not to sound transactionary, your community is one of the most important skills that you and your team do together. One of the most important things that you and your team can
Mhm.
do together. So I'd love to hear from your perspective, like how does one community build? What is community building 101, especially in the indie space, but just in game dev in general?
Yeah. So, I think the first thing that I definitely wanna say is, there are a number of absolutely incredible, community managers that exist in the games industry, right? So the first thing that I would say is all of your questions that you have, whoever you are, your questions can definitely be answered by just like a couple clicks and a couple different resources, right? So Victoria Tran, who I always have to shout out as like one of the best community builders that exists, has a I believe it's a Substack, but she writes pretty frequently about the best ways to community build. So like I'm happy to give sort of like very rudimentary responses. But I have to call out people that are quite frankly much more knowledgeable than me at a much like larger scale. I think when we're talking about indies, we're a lot of times we're sort of talking about like starting from square one, right? Um, the easiest is probably via social media, just, like, as volatile as those spaces can be, right? Things like Blue Sky, To a certain degree, I quite frankly don't think Twitter is like worth anything anymore. It's just like not even from like a
Just
political
boycott it.
standpoint. Yeah, like it's just kind of not worth it. Blue Sky is a pretty decent place to kind of build some of those connections. Discord is a really, really awesome place because it's just like it's inherently sort of built into like a handful of different like gaming platforms, right? So it's just like a one-to-one sort of relationship. Um Surprisingly, things like TikTok still, and even Instagram to a certain degree are pretty good places to start that community building process, right? So I think taking a little bit of a step back from that too, I think people hear the term community building and I think they inherently get scared, right? Because it's like you have to like think about all these crazy places that you have to like build this giant, network of people, and it's not entirely true in the sense that you may have like, let's say that you have 10,000 followers on TikTok, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that you have 10,000 people that are watching your content. Versus a possible option of like, well, I have 2,000 people on TikTok that are watching my content, and the majority of the people that are following me are watching my content. To me, that is a better community than somebody that has a huge following, but their content for whatever reason is just like not really being shown to people, right? So thinking about it from this standpoint of it's gonna be a weird example, so but stick with me. If I'm going to a party, right? I'm going to like a gathering, a networking event, a social gathering of some kind. I'm going to a Super Bowl party, and I know that the majority of people at that Super Bowl party are going to be game developers for whatever reason, right? Am I gonna stand in the corner and not talk to anybody? Or am I gonna try to at least say hello to people, try to start those conversations and not necessarily wait for everyone to come to me? That's kind of how community building on the internet works, where you could definitely just like, start posting constantly about like your game, your game, your game, what you're doing, what you're doing, what you're doing. But if you're not engaging with the other content that sort of exists on those platforms, it's sort of going into a void and just sort of going into a vacuum of just like you're kind of only talking to yourself, right?
Mm.
So the best way that I've seen people build a community is to like engage with everything else that's going on, right? On Instagram, it's things like reposting what your friends are doing, calling attention to what they're doing, on other platforms, it's the same thing, but it would be like, I guess we don't say retweet anymore, but like
Free
reposting what other
X?
people re-X, yeah.
Uh,
Reposting what other people are doing, commenting. Like this is
mhm.
so great, right? Because the more comments that happen on these platforms, the more the algorithm sort of picks it up. So thinking about it in the sense of like, how can I help amplify other people's voices while also amplifying my own voice? It's much better to be seen as like a hype person in this space because that like it's kind of cheesy to say, but like that energy that you give out will come back to you, right? It may not be immediate and it may take a little bit of time and it may not always be like in the space that you want it to, just like in the sense of like I'm putting all this energy into helping other people, why isn't it coming back to me? But it does come back. You just have to be a little bit patient with it, right? So community building isn't just hyping up all your stuff and like mass following a bunch of people and then never engaging with those people. Community building is you can mass follow people, but you still have to engage with the content that you're seeing while sort of like hyping yourself up too.
Yeah, it's more of a conversation in a way, isn't it? It's
Mhm.
that two-way piece of, not just taking from the ecosystem, but actively contributing to it. And
Mhm.
that helps things build up. I mean, I I've seen a lot of companies come and go, and I've seen a lot kind of get established and start going. And there's some
Mhm.
that are kind of doing all the right things, but for whatever reason, it's not quite coalescing. Um, so like in your experience, what would be a way to kind of encourage the community to take an active part in your community? Aside
Mhm.
from obviously contributing to other people's stuff, but you know, is it just a case of starting those conversations, or is it just offering more than you're getting it to start with? Like, how does it all work?
Yeah, I mean, again, if we sort of take the like in-person approach of like everybody kind of is caught up in what they're doing just on a day-to-day basis, right? Like the only thing that we kind of know are the experiences that we have literally on a daily basis. So like you kind of never know what people are going through, right? Um building connections is extremely important when you're doing the community building side of things, right? It's like making sure that those connections that you have are sustainable and genuine. I feel like this happens a lot in the sort of weird internet culture of like there's so much vitriol for like oh, what's the term for somebody that's like a hanger oner. There's a term for it, it's escaping me at the moment, but somebody that's just like, oh, I'm just trying to use you as much as I possibly can, I'm going to go around
Mm.
and like try to get to the next person, to the next person, to the next person, to the next person. um and people see that, and understandably that's a very like toxic trait to do, but it's also like, I mean, that's like pretty common in a lot of these like spaces, especially when we're talking about creative spaces, because everybody kind of just like wants to get to the next level, right? But I think one of the things to think about, to answer your question a little bit more succinctly, having starting those conversations and like quite frankly growing a little bit of thick skin, because not everybody's going to respond to you, right?
Yeah.
And if somebody doesn't respond to you, if you're at a party and like somebody doesn't want to engage in a conversation with you, that's cool. You don't know what's going on in their day. That could be a personal reason, it could be a professional reason, it could be that they just like aren't interested, and like you kind of have to just move on. You will find people that want to talk to you, and those are the people that you kind of want to stick with, right? Like find the people that you like vibe with, that you gel with, that you're excited to talk to, and build a community there, and that becomes your community, right? So then you have the situation of like, well, then other people are going to want to come into that community because your crew, right, are like, you're fun to be around, you are, hyping each other up, you're helping each other, you're willing to sort of go the extra mile, and then that just kind of grows and grows and grows and grows and grows. And that does help filter out anybody that would be, I use this term, but let me explain what I mean. Somebody that might be a bad actor in that
Mhm.
space. Bad actor doesn't necessarily mean somebody that's like a criminal, right? Like a bad actor could just be somebody that just like you don't vibe with for whatever reason, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's totally okay. It's just like, we're just not really about you for whatever reason. And that's like, it's okay. We don't have to like everybody. We do need to be respectful of most people, but we don't have to like everybody, right? So starting small, and if it's starting with like you found two people that you really enjoy having conversations with, and you want to try to just like continue that, great. Ask their friends to maybe join in that conversation. Maybe you found somebody else that you want to sort of continue to join in that conversation. But it's like a little bit of a like throwing like a pebble into the pond, and having that sort of ripple effect, right? It does take a little bit of time, and you do need to just like, you kind of have to be okay with a little bit of rejection.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's really, Tim and I have done a lecture series before about specifically, networking, and specifically about finding mentors.
Mhm.
And something that, we've talked about before is just trying to think of a potential mentor, advisor, somebody who helps you, period.
Mhm.
Trying to think of the conversations that you're having with them from their perspective and from their world. So, what are they getting out of this conversation from you?
Mhm.
So, specifically in a mentor or advisor relationship, um, it's easy to see like somebody coming in and giving you thoughts on what you're working on as a one-sided relationship, but actually having somebody who's like excited, engaged, listens to you is own value that you're presenting to somebody.
Yeah.
Um, so I think for any form of networking or human connection, spending a moment to say, not just what am I getting from this human, because that's a really easy way to become one of those hangers on that you're talking about, but
Mhm.
instead like what are we creating for each other?
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
and I think
There's an Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just basically going to say, yeah, and I think all of the most significant changes I've seen in my own career are because of someone. I ran
Mhm.
into some person and it was great, and here's Tim, my co-host now.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I would say there's a little bit of a caveat to what I'm saying too, which is like that is definitely like I'm talking a lot more about like like starting out in terms of networking. When you get to a little bit of a larger scale, you then have the fun part of having random fans, right? And that can be a little bit challenging.
Mhm.
Fans aren't always like inherently bad. Like I, I don't know. I found that like when I talk to friends that are, legitimate people in the games industry, like
Mhm.
their fans are fine. They just kind of understand what those boundaries are, and like some of that is just a little bit of a complicated navigation system, and that's where when you get to a point to be able to hire a community manager, somebody that is like, great, awesome, I am more than able to just sort of like manage what this community is versus you as the creator having to like manage that community can be really, really challenging, right? Like that, there's so much work attached to it. And it's hard not to feel like I have to respond to every comment. I have to respond to every message that I get. I have to like engage as much as possible. But it truly is like you do like just for your own sanity and your own mental health, like pick and choose who you want to talk to. But that's where being able to have that actual community that you've built of people that are like, great, awesome. I'm so excited to, have this good, amazing network of people that are going to support me along with whatever I'm doing.
Hmm. So here's a question for you. For those who may have questions for Anya, Tim and I are going to
Mhm.
take as much of her time as we can. If y'all want some time with Anya, please leave your questions in the chat. I have a question that I run into often enough with indies that I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. And that
Mhm.
is simply the difference between community building and marketing. So we
Mm.
often, I even just went to Victoria Tran's website, who I will also advocate for. She's awesome. We'll leave the link down in the description below. Um, Oftentimes people will say like, I'm a community builder, social media manager, marketer, and those different titles go hand in hand. But of course those are distinct disciplines and distinctly different
Mhm.
tasks. So
Mhm.
what is, in your opinion, the difference between marketing and community, and I guess how do those two relate?
Yeah, to be honest with you, in my experience, that actually is a different answer, like, kind of based on each studio, right?
Hmm.
Those are technically 3 different jobs, right? A social
Mhm.
media manager is somebody who does exactly what that description is. They manage the social media, right? That goes hand in hand with a community manager. That's 2 people that, like, it's a checks and balances system in my eyes. A community manager sort of is like, how do I say this? More of a vibe check. Right? So, like, cool, what is the vibe of the community? Wow, we're getting a whole bunch of comments that people don't like this. Um, we're getting a bunch of comments that people do like this. Okay, cool. That's something that we're able to sort of like parse out from like, okay, let's get some of the analytics and let's figure out what's the best way to respond to something. To me, a community manager is a little bit like, by no means is this like a one-to-one, but it's a little bit closer almost to like a PR person,
Hmm.
just from the standpoint of like, what is the vibe of the community? Cool. Somebody's going to be able to answer comments, is going to be able to answer comments in a way and messages in a way that's like succinct, but also like polite and kind and like professional. A social media manager manages all of the social media, but also works hand in hand with a community manager to make sure that the tone of what those posts are appropriate. Cool, the social media manager will respond to like comments and questions and things like that, but in relationship with the community manager. And then for marketing, to me, marketing is much more closely associated with things like running ads, but that tone is still very, very closely associated with social media and community manager. So it's a thing of like I don't agree with it, but I do understand why a lot of studios were just sort of like roll all 3 of those because they go, oh, this is all just like the same job, right? Like you do all the soft skill stuff that like I don't really know what happens. I just know like you put a funny video up and it gets likes and then suddenly people download our game. I can totally understand why like that
Wait,
thought
so that's not
process.
right? I thought that was the right way to do it. No?
Oh, so sorry to break it to you. No,
Damn it.
unfortunately.
Get it a
But
lot on job briefs. They're like, I want X, Y, Z, and ABC in this job. It's like, so you want a whole department for one salary? That's
yeah,
kind
and
of
also I will pay you $15 an hour to do it. And I'm like,
yeah.
cool.
Because you love it, right?
Yeah, like what is happening? Yeah, it's a little chaotic. But again, I do understand why, like I understand why, especially at larger companies, people just go, "Oh, it's all the same thing," right? You then also throw the fun part, and this is the thing that's been happening in tabletop a lot more too. You throw the sort of live streaming personality onto all of that too, which is somebody that goes around and like takes content, just films a ton of content and then puts it onto the different social media channels, right? Like that is kind of a hybrid like community manager slash social media job,
Mm,
but it's also like kind of also not any of those things, but it's a close association to everything.
mm. And do you have follow up on that?
I do. So we talked a little bit about community managers being like a vibe check, and sometimes things are going really well. You might want to jump on that hot topic and leverage it that way, but also sometimes there's an oopsie doopsie, and companies have to deal with that. Speaking very generally, of course, what is a general good checklist for companies to look at when they do get it wrong? How can they reestablish that trust with that community and right the ship, so to speak?
Yeah, I have unfortunately too much experience with this. I was at Kickstarter when the crypto announcement happened that Kickstarter
Ah,
was going to be moving to blockchain. The
Damn.
most
and
infuriating
that
and
went well.
disgusting. It went great. It was no issues actually. They should have done it. They ended up like backing off from the whole thing and like not moving forward with it. Um, I think like it's challenging, right? Because here's the deal. We're talking about the internet, and if you give anybody the option to just scream and be angry on the internet, they're just going to be angry and scream on the internet, right?
Yeah.
So this may not be the best answer, but this is what I found is like the most simplistic way to deal with it, right? If you've lost trust, if like trust is extremely difficult, right? Like trust you kind of have to build back up. Um and the people that are going to scream are just going to scream. They're not actually the people that you're trying to like appeal to. You're trying to appeal to the people that are like, "Hey, I've been like harmed by this behavior and I need you to kind of make this right. I need you to like sort of atone for the things that have happened, right? We made a dumb business decision and now it's like bitten us in the butt."
Mm.
Cool. So the first thing is you have to listen. You have to allow people to be upset and you have to allow for people to just like like feel their feelings, right? Like you've betrayed me, this sucks, I'm upset, valid. The number of times things have like been in games that people have just like not realized was offensive because they didn't work with like a cultural consultant, right?
Mm.
Cool. Well, we've hired a cultural consultant to comb through the game that we made. Also, we're absolutely devoting to any game that we make in the future. We will always hire a cultural consultant and we will be upfront about that. Great. Awesome. Right. What are the ways to sort of right the wrongs that have happened? We decided to move to blockchain, right? We decided that we're going to really get in the NFT game and we're going to do the crypto thing. And then suddenly, okay, here's actually a great example right now. We decided that we're going to use Gen AI to make our games, right? Great. You get a bunch of backlash and people go, "Hey, we hate this. We don't want this." You go, "Ooh, okay. We did not realize what this actually was. We thought this was a tool. We did not realize what was happening. We apologize and we are making sure that we are scrubbing everything that has anything to do with Gen AI from now on, and we will prove to you. You then have to like show your work of like, cool, here's us drawing, here's us sculpting, here's us claying, whatever it is, whatever sort of the medium is, and showing on a consistent basis exactly what you're doing to make the thing happen, right? The other best way I found to sort of like right some of those wrongs, especially if it's like an entire community was hurt, right, is to donate money to an organization that your community decides needs that money, right? So if somebody made a game and there was something really offensive, like let's just say to like the Latino community, okay, cool, we are going to donate money to a mutual aid that helps the Latino community or something along those lines, like just something that is helping a specific community that you have hurt, that you have wronged, right?
Mm.
Give people time, right? Forgiveness is not easy, but it does happen. And time is the best way to just sort of like heal a lot of like pain that gets caused. And you're still going to have people in your comments that are like, "We hate you. This sucks. We don't believe you." Let them talk. Sometimes people just kind of need to talk on the internet. But your focus should be on making sure that the people that have said, "Hey, we're actually looking for you to do better," those are the people that you want to focus on to make sure that like those wrongs have been right.
Hmm. I love that as a really simple concept. There's a we work with a lot of people who are even just trying to figure out who to listen to in terms of playtesting, feedback, monetization.
Mhm.
And one of the simple pieces of advice there is you should not be catering to the people who are unwilling to pay for your game.
Yep.
It should be the people who want to pay for your game that you're listening to and building the game for.
Yeah.
And I think this is a very similar piece of advice. The people who are just being enraged because they're enraged and they want to be enraged are mostly insatiable.
Hmm.
And the people who are like, "Hey, this hurt me. I would like you to fix this," are actually being quite reasonable and quite adult with you. And so it makes a lot of sense
Hmm.
to me that those would be the people that you are, trying to
Yeah.
atone to.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Amazing. So I think let's jump into some community questions. Tim,
Cool.
we've got at least a few down here.
Yeah.
Um,
Let me look for those emojis. This is a question, isn't a question. So we'll go lower down. So, how are you able to keep your community kind of going whilst you're building? So, one of our community members, Jaco, I hope I'm saying that correctly. Sometimes getting questions from their community whilst they're working on stuff, and maybe don't always have time to engage with the community because they're busy
Mhm.
building the stuff. What are maybe some practical tips that they could potentially employ there?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's one of the hardest things, right? Like time management in this space is extremely difficult. If you have the option to hire a community manager, that's where having a community manager to just focus like full time on that is awesome. But I understand that's very, very rarely the case these days. Totally understandable. Funds
Mm.
are tight for everybody. Um, So I would just bake it into your calendar, quite honestly. Like literally just put it into your calendar. I'm going to spend 20 minutes once a week just like posting an update, right?
Mm.
Whatever it is. I'm also going to spend 20 minutes for like engaging with what other people are doing. Then that's as simple as just like liking, resharing. Wow, this looks cool, right? If you put it into your calendar or whatever way it is that you find that you like know you can get a task completed, just consider it a task. It doesn't have to be every day. If you want to do it once a week, that's totally fine, at least for the starting point of things. But think about it as like, I need people, if I'm going to make a game, I need people to buy the game, right? And so you're sort of setting yourself up for success, starting that process of engaging with community and building a community so that when you get to the point of release, you have a bunch of people that are excited and like willing to purchase the game on day one.
It is so that time management is one of the really tough things for indies and really just any small team because we all wear so many hats.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm curious, actually, just to an extension of that question, what are some of the most like efficient community management tasks? Like if somebody's
Hmm.
only got an hour or 20 minutes to commit to
Hmm.
community management every week, what would you have them do?
First thing I would do is make sure that you post something. And that's going to be different per platform, right? Like on Instagram, most people just do stories at this point. Posts are pretty rare. I would say like I would consider Instagram posts maybe like once a month, and that could just basically be your update of like a slideshow, whatever it's called, of like here's everything that we've done. Um, but, like, it doesn't always have to be your content. Again, it can be something that you think is interesting and you think is cool and something that you can, like, help, hype your friends up. But if it's even just something that's, like, a quick, 15-second video of you, like, testing something out, people love stuff like that. People actually love seeing behind the scenes things. It makes people feel like they're part of the process and allowing people sort of into the world that you're building, right? If that's like concept art of some kind, posting concept art. If that's, if you have an hour once a week to do that, going through social media and liking and commenting, and it doesn't have to be like dissertations or anything like that, right? Just like quick little things of like, this looks great. Oh my gosh, I love this. Everyone should see this. And then posting something that you're like proud of that you've accomplished. Think about it of like, what have you accomplished this week? What have you accomplished this month? How are you able to sort of showcase that, right? It doesn't always have to be the highest quality of something, right? Um, because think about it too in the sense of like, if you're like a first time dev, like you are brand new, you're like, I love playing games, but I don't even know the first thing about making games. And all you're seeing is finished products. You're going to get the impression that everybody just has finished products versus the process of like, I drew boxes today and that's what I accomplished, right? Like art at the end of the day, video games are art and it takes a long time for art to be made and it doesn't have to be perfect and you don't have to be sharing the like most perfect thing that exists, right? Like the number of times I see just like works of progress or works in progress, and that's a big thing too. Like WIP, hashtag WIP, like that's a huge thing in the art space, right? Like actual like physical drawing. Like, oh man, that's such a great thing for people to see. And it's inspiring for them to also say, like, oh yeah, wait, that's it just takes a long time and like this is the thing that you've accomplished this month. Cool. I can do that. I can try that.
I think I can echo that one hugely. There's that old saying that perfect is the enemy of good. People I run into, I work with so many juniors, and there's this desire to only show off what's perfect, or
Yeah.
even just like what's done. But for every one person who actually pursues game development, I don't know if there's a real stat for this, but hundreds think about it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And giving them the opportunity to feel like a part of the game development for just a moment, they adore.
Hmm.
So show it to them. Here's where I failed this week. This was really hard. Show off the fun stuff. Show off the silly stuff. I've
Hmm.
had bugs that are funnier than my game's content.
Yeah.
And take videos. I had a bug in a cozy town simulator that duplicated all the townsfolk, and somehow they all had their own opinions of you, and it was hilarious, and it was a great engagement moment for the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, show it off. We want to see it.
Yeah.
All right, a next question for you. This one's interesting. So we are elaborating upon a different subject,
Okay.
something that you do here. Sam asks, "How do you get started freelancing? Any advice who wants to get started freelancing?"
Um, well, I'm extremely lucky and extremely thankful, right? I personally I just kind of got to a point where I was like, I can't just keep hopping from company to company. And not that I was doing that like aggressively. Like there's, I've had 4 companies that I've worked for, I guess 5, it depends on how you look at it. Um, but when I sort of realized like I think I've kind of done all I can in like a traditional business structure, right? Of like my next move would have been either like senior management or above. And I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't care how much of a salary it is. I don't care what the benefits are. I can't just like sit and like manage people and not do anything. Like I'm not doing anything, right? Like I'm not this sucks and I hate this. And some people excel in that, but it's not for me. Um so I kind of just dove headfirst in. And I'm really lucky again because I have a lot of I've built a really really great network just for years being in the industry. And so I saved up enough money to sort of give myself 6 months of like if I don't make a cent for 6 months, I can pay my rent after 6 months. Things might get a little bit dicey. But I just saved up a lot of money, worked extremely hard, classic story there. And then just kind of dove in head first. I have a lot of friends that also freelance. My partner is a freelance musician, and he's only been a freelance musician. He has had one other job his entire life, which is walking dogs. Um, and that's sort of his other freelance business when he's not playing music is he does pet care. He walks dogs and takes care of cats and does, it's pretty great. And so he was really helpful, just to kind of be like, look, this is the reality. You're not going to get a steady paycheck and you have to get over that. You have to pay your own health insurance. There's things that like you're going to miss, but also the freedom that you have is incredible. You're probably going to be working the hardest that you've ever worked in your entire life too, though. Um, so I would say set yourself up for success by like financially just like give yourself a little bit of a runway. Um, and then talk to other people that are also freelancers. I found honestly, freelancers all kind of want to help each other. Because we all kind of know the pain of like, oh, I don't know like what this month is gonna look like. I'm still 2.5 years learning the like that steady paycheck thing because I did it for so long is like such a weird thing. It's still such a trip to me because you just kind of never know like each month what's going to happen. And then some months you're like, wow, I worked enough for 2 months that I can actually take 2 months off. And that's such a blessing and such a like amazing thing. Tap into your network, build a network, right? So like save up money, build a network, build a network of the space that you want to be in, and then talk to other freelancers, and you'll be kind of amazed at how many people do want to help you, because it's really scary going freelance, but it's also like one of the most liberating things.
Yeah. I'd echo that. I stopped being an employed worker in 2018 and started working for myself in various forms. And
Hmm.
like you said, I've never worked harder, but I've also never been freer.
Yeah.
You know, you can kind of be in charge of your own destiny, and that is quite a freeing feeling. You know, until the bills all come and you've not got much, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh no.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be honest with you, like I my case is a little bit unique in the sense that like I ended up getting so many gig offers as a musician, and like having all of these cool opportunities sort of being thrown in my lap. And so that's what I mean by like I was given the opportunity where I was just like, I think I can do this. And the experiences that I'm going to have as a musician, I have to do
Mm,
this because I'm going to regret not doing this. And I've had such an incredible career in games, and I still have an incredible career in games. But when I took that leap, the last 2 years as a musician have been like some of the things that I like dreamed about, right? So like I played the VMAs last year. Like that was crazy. I was in the season finale of Severance.
Wow.
wow.
Like I would never have been able to do that just if I, because I would have a 9 to 5 job, and I was just like, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't care, right? I've toured. I'm leaving tomorrow on a 5.5, 6 week tour to travel from, I think our first show is in Milwaukee, and I'm doing the Midwest, the South, the West Coast. I played some of the last No Effect shows that they've ever played. We were one of the opening bands. I've gone on tour with Gogo Bordello. I wrapped up a tour last December with this incredible band called The Casualties. Like, gone on tour with the Coffin Cats. I went to LA and recorded with Tim Armstrong from Rancid. Like, there's all these incredible opportunities, right? And the coolest thing is that because I'm not tied down to a 9 to 5 job, I I'm going to be working on the road. I have clients who need work done, and so I can just like hook up my
Yep.
hotspot and then just work on the road. And like, people don't realize necessarily that I'm like in a venue, and like, Fat Mike walks by or something, and I'm like emailing people about game stuff, and it's just such a like funny, it's just like a funny, crazy sort of thing, right? So then when I get off tour, I'm home for a day, and then I go to PAX East. And so it's this like cool
Yeah.
oscillation thing. And like it's exhausting, I'm not gonna lie. It's very tiring. I'm working extremely hard. It's a little bit scary at times, but it's also like a little bit of a reflection point of like, right, I'm doing the thing that I want to do and the thing that I love. And sometimes the games thing is going to be a little bit more present, and sometimes the music thing is going to be a little bit more present, but they go hand in hand. And ultimately at the end of the day, my life is surrounded by art and creation, and that is more than anything that I wanted to do, rather than just sitting behind and like updating, a spreadsheet that somebody's just going to say, "Oh, just migrate this over to another spreadsheet. Oh, just migrate this over to another spreadsheet." Like, cool, I'll take that over anything. And I'm making a lot less money than I was at a lot of these other companies, right? But I'm paying my bills, and I'm fine. I have a whole other spiel as freelancers financially what people should be doing. Quite
Mm.
frankly, take your money out of your major banks, your bank account, and putting it into a high yield saving account, because it'll generate interest and income over time. Don't do a 401k at this point. It's kind of useless. Do a Roth IRA. That's a conversation for another day. Everybody's finances are a little bit different, but I've definitely learned a lot about how to manage my finances as a freelancer, because it looks entirely different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a what a. I think this is a perfect way to end the episode, and I like that we've strayed into another space. It's good. I am a huge advocate. What I want to see for this entire community, and for basically everybody that I touch in my own life, I want to see self-employment as much as possible. It's not for everyone, for sure, and it's okay if it's not for you, to say that very clearly. But it is, I think, for more people than might expect it to be for, because we're sort of. We're encouraged to follow the very traditional career ladder in so many different ways. There's a ton of reinforcement for it. But ultimately, as you say, I am tired like all the time and I never sleep. But holy shit, like it's so cool the conversations that I get to have and the things that I get to go and do.
Mhm,
I was going through a tougher episode myself, both financially and sort of emotionally, a couple of months ago. But
mhm.
then again, 8 months ago, I got flown to India to speak at IGDC, and it was like so cool, one of the most amazing experiences of my life. And I think
Mhm.
I think ultimately all of this summed up, bet on yourself above anything else. And I think bet
Mhm.
on those things that have brought you joy since the beginning. That little kid you didn't know how to make money. The big kid you does know how to make money and still loves those same things. So figure out how to make money out of those things that you love. And it may not be a lot of money, but it may well be enough money.
Mhm. I would also say, to be honest with you, like I do think people should try the sort of traditional job if you find like a traditional job that you're like, I actually want to do this. I think it's important to try it because one, you don't know, maybe it is great. Maybe you're finding that like, oh, actually I kind of love working for a company, right? That's awesome. But also like you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what you don't like until you actually try it, right? Like,
Mhm.
there's a little bit of like, you kind of do need to try it a little bit. There's also like, I want to be very clear, while like moving into like senior management was not for me, I knew it was not for me. There's nothing wrong with doing that, right? Like, I know some people that like they are in senior management and they love it and they excel in it. And I was like, that's great. I love that, you can go out and, have your fancy dinners and things like that. This is just not this isn't for me. This isn't like, what I was built on. But there's nothing wrong with either one of those.
Yeah. I think that's a well said. Maybe Tim, should we bring the episode home then?
I think so. I mean, I was just going to say I went self-employed because I just hate being told what to do.
Yeah, it's a little egotistical, but it's real. I'm like, I want to make the decisions and I don't want to
Oh,
do
let
the
me
things.
let me tell you something about being a biracial woman in games, being
Oh
told what to
man.
do. Yeah. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
I
You
loved
love it,
it. It
I'm
was
sure.
so fun.
You like having all those young men come and tell you that they know the secret and that your experience may
Oh,
be suspect.
my favorite moment, and I won't reveal who this is because it is somebody that people know.
Oh boy.
Um, I had a meeting at GDC right as I was leaving Nickelodeon, and I knew I was going to be leaving Nickelodeon. And we were sitting at a hotel bar, and we were talking about, so I can't remember exactly what it was, a long time ago. We were licensing or working on the platform, something like that. And the person that we were meeting with, so pleasant over email, right? Like so pleasant. And they were huge
Mm.
at the time. Really big, really, really, like really big deal at the time, whatever. And I was the only woman in the room. And he was asking questions, wouldn't look at me, literally would not acknowledge that I was in the room. And my coworkers kept throwing the question to me, right? They were like, well, Anya can answer. Anya can answer. And he wouldn't acknowledge me. He wouldn't look at me. And he literally said, I think I'd like to have a man answer. And
What a
I was
cr-
like, huh. And so I ended up seeing him at a party that another friend of mine threw. And I was maybe a little, well, I don't know. I've always been a little bit of a, like, not a troll, but just like, do not put me in a situation where I need to like defend myself because I absolutely will. And so I just walked up to him and I was like, "Hey, that was a really interesting meeting that we had earlier." And he was like, "Oh, are you like from Cartoon Network or something?" I was like, "No, I'm from Nickelodeon. I know you know who I am." And then I just walked away.
Well, let me
yeah,
say very, very definitively right here and now, that guy sounds like a loser.
yeah,
He turned out to be a loser. Yeah.
Mm.
yeah.
That's okay, but that's okay. And that's
Ah,
one of so many things that have happened.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now being able to work for myself, I'm like, who are you gonna tell on if I like mouth off to you? What are you gonna go to my
Yeah.
boss? I'll tell her she's awesome. Like, what are you talking about?
What
I'm
am I
writing
going
a
to do?
performance
Fire
review about him.
myself?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just accepted my own performance review. I'll
Yeah.
scold him, don't worry.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. I will make sure that she knows that a man should be, there and exist. Ew.
ugh. All right, well, let's wrap up the episode. We've already taken more of your time than we promised, Anya, but that's
No,
because this
it's
has been a
fine.
great chat. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's see. We like to do two different things here to wrap up the
Mhm.
episode.
So, firstly, Anya, do you have any extra credits our listeners can do in the next week to apply or think through some of the things we've been discussing here today?
Yes. I want you to think about two other spaces you could grow a community outside of social media.
Excellent. All right. So, you heard it here, everyone. give that a good go, and maybe let us know on LinkedIn or in the Discord how you've got on with that and any follow-up questions you may have. Thank you so much for joining us in our first Indie Game Guildhall today, Anya. It's been fascinating to
Great
chat
first
with you.
episode.
And yeah, a great first episode, and I really wish we had more time as well. There's so much more I'd love to just learn from you. But for anyone listening today, we are back every Wednesday at 12 p.m. EST. Please come along live if you wish, or listen to us whenever you want, because we are on the line.
We've had great food. We had a revelation that you happened to make me, so thank you, Anya. And we've learned a lot about freelancing as well as community building. But are your last chance, Anya? Are there any last words of wisdom you want to give us, or anything you'd like to promote here at the end of the episode?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. If folks ever have questions about crowdfunding, or if people want to chat about community building anymore, I'm happy to chat. I'm sort of regretfully and reluctantly on LinkedIn. um, but I'm active on Instagram, TikTok to a certain degree. I sort of just doom scroll more than post anything, just because I don't know. Like, my life's in my head, I'm like, my life's not that interesting, and then I like tell people about it, and I'm like, well, I guess it is kind of interesting. And let's see, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. So if you want to message me there, cool. In terms of promoting, I'm going on tour. If you're in any of the cities that we're at, come to a show. It's gonna be weird.
Are you coming to Boston?
No, we had to cancel the Boston show. Yeah, we were actually, it's funny, we were gonna play Boston over PAX East, and I was like, I don't think you guys are ready, because my band is like, they're nerds, but they like don't know the extent of like what my life in games actually is, and I was like, I will fill this room. But the scheduling just didn't work out this time. But I think we'll probably be doing Boston in May.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'll let you know. Yeah, hopefully the UK. I don't know. We'll see.
Let me know when
visit
you're in
Tim.
the UK.
Absolutely.
I will be at the front row dancing badly. That's what I
That
do.
said, Tim won't let you in unless you play the lute. Have you been practicing your ye olde medieval
Oh, I
instruments?
haven't. I do have a lot of weird like wind instruments, because I'm a sax player, of like fake saxophones that I should probably
Ooh.
bust out at some
cool.
point. But yeah,
That sounds pretty rad.
I
very
think you should
strange.
get a hurdy-gurdy. I think that should be the next instrument to jump on.
I would love to play the hurdy-gurdy. Oh.
It'd be amazing. All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up the episode for today. So thank you, Anya. This has been such a tremendous chat and a good
thank
start
you.
to the new Indie Game Guildhall. We will be here, as Tim said, every week. Thank you for the hurdy-gurdy gift, Victor. Every week at 12 p.m. Eastern time. There's instructions to join the Discord, as well as find out about Anya or anything else you mentioned in the description down below. But I think that's gonna do it. Thank you, Anya.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Goodbye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Game over.